At the Good Life Cooperative, we believe everyone can benefit from a little guidance as they navigate along the healthcare landscape. Some doctors say that the human body is like a car. If you inherited good genes from your parents, your body is like a high-performance, well-made luxury sports car that doesn't break down often. And while you can't change your body the way you can change cars or prevent your body from getting old, regular health screenings and lifestyle modification are essential to keeping you healthy. Just as getting your car serviced regularly and driving it carefully will help it last longer. This is how you do it.
Each time your heart beats, it pumps blood and supplies nutrition to the different parts of your body. The force with which blood flows through the blood vessels is called blood pressure. The pressure rises with each heartbeat and falls when the heart relaxes between beats. And it fluctuates with the body's activity, posture, and stress levels, but is normally maintained below 120/80 in adults. Blood pressure values greater than 120/80 is considered high. If your blood pressure readings are high when measured consecutively over the weeks, you will be diagnosed with hypertension. Hypertension is dangerous because it makes your heart work harder. When blood flows with greater force, the semi-flexible tissues and muscles of the blood vessels stretch beyond their healthy limit. This overstretching can make your blood vessels weak and form enlargements called aneurysms, which are weak, highly vulnerable spots that easily rupture and bleed. The overstretching could also cause tiny tears in the blood vessels, which attract cholesterol, calcium, and fat deposits, forming a plaque. Plaques reduce the diameter of your blood vessel and lead to blood clots, which can partially or completely block blood supply to the vital organs like brain, heart, kidney, and eyes, and lead to serious and often fatal complications like stroke, heart disease, kidney disease, or vision loss. These hypertension-induced damages happen gradually and silently and often go unnoticed until extensive damage is done. 1 in every 3 Southeast Asians suffers from hypertension, and about 1.5 million lives are lost to the disease every year. This high incidence could be the result of increased body weight, increasing age, unhealthy diet, excessive salt intake, lack of exercise, excessive alcohol or caffeine intake, smoking, and stress. The only way to prevent the damage is to diagnose hypertension early and treat it on time. Regular blood pressure monitoring is highly recommended in people over 30 years of age. Your general practitioner can measure your blood pressure using a sphygmomanometer or the blood pressure cuff. The cuff is placed snugly on the bare arm, 1 inch above your elbow. It is attached to a pump with a valve. At the start of the measurement, your doctor will close the valve and inflate the pump. The air fills the cuff and it will tighten around your arm. To take the blood pressure reading, the doctor will slowly release the valve and listen to your pulse. The systolic blood pressure is recorded when the pulsing sound is first heard, and the diastolic pressure is measured when the pulsing sound completely disappears. Your blood pressure will fall into any of these categories. Normal pressure, where BP measurements fall below 130/80. High to normal BP, measuring between 130 to 139 over 80 to 89. Grade 1 hypertension, measuring between 140 to 159 over 90 to 99. And Grade 2 hypertension, where BP measures 160 over 100 or higher. If you are at risk, you will be advised on making immediate lifestyle changes and will be asked to monitor your blood pressure. You may be prescribed some medication too. You can monitor your blood pressure at home by using a cuff-style upper arm home blood pressure monitor. These monitors come with clear instructions, but you should make sure that your cuff fits well on your arm. You sit upright with legs placed comfortably on the floor and back rested. You should remain still when you measure the BP. You will need to take multiple readings and repeat the measurements at the same time every day. Choose a quiet place to take your reading. Consult your physician if you notice your BP shoot up or drop too low at consecutive readings. Hypertension is a chronic disease and can have serious implications on your life. It is therefore better to prevent it from developing. You can do so by keeping a check on your lifestyle, monitoring your blood pressure levels, and staying active. Your meal should contain a generous serving of fruits and vegetables. You should choose whole grains or wholemeal bread and lean meat or other protein sources. Choose water as your drink. Your salt intake should not exceed 1 teaspoon. Limit the salt in your diet and avoid eating processed foods which are loaded with salt. Hypertension risk increases with an increase in the body mass index, a measure of the body fat based on height and weight. A body mass index between 18.5 and 22.9 kilograms per square meter is considered healthy. This can be achieved by 30 minutes of regular, moderate intensity workout at least 5 times a week. You should avoid smoking and cut down on your caffeine intake. Consume alcohol in moderation. Take all the prescribed medicines as recommended by your doctor. A healthy lifestyle is not only critical to the prevention of hypertension, but also indispensable for its management. Hypertension runs in families, and so your genes may make you prone to high blood pressure, even if you lead a healthy lifestyle. You can still turn back the clock. When diagnosed with hypertension, monitor it regularly. Maintain a healthy weight with a well-balanced diet, regular exercise, and a lifestyle that complements it. Avoid drinking too much alcohol. Keep a check on your salt and caffeine consumption, and avoid smoking. Talk to your doctor about your options and the path ahead. In summary, staying positive and living a healthy life can help you lead an uncomplicated life, even when you are old and frail. But if you do need help at any point of your hypertension journey, it's nice to know that you will be in good hands and have a healthy future.
The definition of high blood pressure remains the same at whatever age we are. Hypertension or high blood pressure can lead to heart failure, kidney failure, stroke, and heart attacks. Blood pressure management is important because it helps to improve the quality of our lives as well as to reduce the healthcare costs to society and to healthcare industry. And the blood pressure does increase with age as part of the natural aging process. Well, as we age, our arteries will get stiffer, it gets less elastic, so the systolic blood pressure would then slowly start to increase and the diastolic blood pressure will slowly start to decrease. And over time, these values may exceed the upper limit of normal. I feel that we should be concerned at all times whether our blood pressure is normal or high, and of course especially when it's high. But even if our blood pressure is normal, because of the aging process, it does change over time. So we should always periodically measure our blood pressure to make sure that it remains in the normal range. Having a reading that is high should not affect the person's way of living, but should then encourage him to seek help, as well as to maybe change his lifestyle in order to reduce the blood pressure. In most people, does not cause any symptoms, so the person would actually be relatively well, and he would not have any abnormal feelings. So it is important for the person to actually measure his blood pressure in order to know whether it's higher. So in most patients with high blood pressure, they may not have any symptoms. However, in certain patients whose blood pressure becomes very high, they may have symptoms such as severe headaches, which do not resolve with just normal home treatment, or a blurring of vision, or weakness of one side of the body, severe spinning of the head, and as well as maybe severe chest pain and breathlessness. So these could be signs of severe high blood pressure that's causing very bad stress to the body. Hypertension can be prevented or slowed down by adopting healthy lifestyle, like eating fruits and vegetables, reducing salt intake, and regular exercise. So as a young individual, if he keeps to a healthy diet and lifestyle, then that would probably hold the high blood pressure at bay. Well, as I mentioned earlier, usually age is a very important factor for the development of high blood pressure. So as we can't prevent ourselves from getting older, the chance of us developing high blood pressure is higher. So as we get older, we have to be more conscious about our salt intake to make sure that that is kept to as minimal level as possible, as well as to also engage in regular aerobic exercises, so that that will help also to reduce the risk of the blood pressure rising. So the American recommendation is basically 2,300 milligrams of salt a day, and this would work out roughly to about 1 teaspoon of salt. We all are usually not aware that in most of the food that we take, there's already natural salt in it. So what I would advise is, if you want to reduce salt intake, is to have no added salt when you cook your food or you prepare your food, not to add salt to it. To avoid preserved foods like canned foods or foods that are cured, or foods that have a lot of seasonings, because these contain a high amount of salt. Also, a lot of snacks have very high salt content, because that's the way they have flavorings as well as salt to make the food or the snack taste better. So that would also have a major impact on the salt intake. Certain kinds of local seasonings also may have quite a bit of salt. For example, like soy sauce, certain kind of oyster sauce, or seasonings which contain monosodium glutamate (MSG) would have quite a bit of salt as well. So we have to be aware of not adding or not using too much of these in our food preparation. Alternatives to salt may help to reduce salt intake. So for example, there are varieties of salt brands that are low in salt, what we call low salt, or so salt alternatives that contain a substitute for sodium, which is called potassium. And in those kinds of salt substitutes, if we use them in our food preparation, that would also help to reduce our salt intake.
This educational video is brought to you by the Good Life Cooperative.